There were many jobs in the medieval times, but none so much as the job of a fuller. Foolery has been known to be one of the worst jobs in mankind. The surname Fuller has been passed down through many generations. It is now a commonly known surname in modern society. In England, of 500 surnames, Fuller is ranked 319 most common.
If your last name is Fuller, chances are you had a medieval ancestor with the same last name as you, Fuller. Chances are your great ancestor actually was a fuller as well. As a fuller, your job was to collect the raw wool from the weavers. Then you would make the raw wool into a usable soft fabric. And for example, the knights would then wear it under their armour when they go to battle. What, I may hear you ask? What could be so bad about being a fuller? All they did was turn raw wool into cotton. Well, you are soon to find out. This is what the raw wool looked like before the fuller had done their job.
How did they turn it into this? They didn't have any machines in the medieval era. To make the raw wool a desirable state, the fuller would tread on it for hours on end in a liquidy substance, a human byproduct. You guessed it, urine. Stale urine.
In the olden days, in the medieval era, there was no such thing as public or private toilets, even for that matter. So fullers would have to go around to their neighbour's house to try and collect some urine to help them with their job.
Hello, my lady. Do you have any stale urine for me today?
Yes, I do. Here you go.
Thank you.
To get the raw wool to a desirable standard, the fuller would tread on the material for endless hours. Depending on the size of the material would depend on how long it would take them. For example, if you had a massive cloth, it could take you days. However, if it was a smaller piece, it could take you maybe 2 hours, or on the contrast, it could take you 8 hours. The purpose of fulling was to get the grease out of the material and to also combine the fibres that were in the material so it had no longer had holes in it.
In the mixture, the water was used to clean the raw wool, but the urine had chemicals in it that would make the fibre in the raw wool bind together to make the cottony substance.
Although it may be hard to believe, not many people actually wanted to be fullers. It was one of the lower class jobs in medieval history. Now, the watery urine mixture smells disgusting. So the poor fullers would have to tread in these all day long. But without anything to make the stench go away, no one really wanted to be a fuller, and that's why it's one of the worst jobs in history. They were quite notable people in society though, because no one had the courage to become a fuller. But if the fullers didn't do their jobs right, the knights would be going off into battle without a warm woolen underlay on underneath their armour. The techniques used in fulling was to tread up and down on the cloth. The faster you moved your feet, the warmer it got. But you wouldn't want to tire yourself out too quickly because you were due for hours of treading. Stuff stinks. There was a couple of laws when it came to being a fuller. You weren't allowed to dye, or even dry for that matter, the cloth. It wasn't your job, so you weren't allowed to do it. You weren't allowed to take your products out of the town or sell them to foreigners. Otherwise, you would have to be stripped of your products and you would not be allowed to sell them even in your own town.
Every now and then, being a fuller, you would have to put your hands in the substance. I know, disgusting. And turn over the cloth. Now, if later in your lifetime you decided you want to get out of the fulling business, then you could simply hand in your foolery stuff and make a living for the rest of your life. There are not very many positive points to being a fuller. But on the upside, I guess your feet would always be pretty clean.
Well, I think that's my time up. And quite disgustingly, I can't smell the urine anymore. Anyway, I think this is about done. This will now be sent off to the dryers and the dyers to then complete our fulling process. The water would get quite cloudy, as you can see here, as the grease has been extracted from the cloth.
As a dyer, it's my responsibility to make sure that the cloth is dyed to the desirable colour. For example, this cloth is in the process of being dyed a green colour. In order to dry the cloth, it would be taken out of the watery substance, then folded in half again, then in half again. Soon it would be twisted till all of the liquid was drained out of the towel. Simply by wringing it out. A simple but effective way. All of the hours of treading, labour, and all of that work. And finally, the product, this, dyed a slightly green tinge. This will be found inside a knight's armour, ready to protect his land. The urine smell attracted many wildlife creatures.
Where's Alex?